Hello friends! In this video I will talk about celestial events in February. On February the 5th the new year begins according to the Chinese calendar, and I talked about that in the video. The name of it is Year of the Dragon. If you're interested in this Chinese calendar, please check it. I also said few words in that video from the position of Feng Shui. Then now in February, new moon is going to happen on the 9th. It is going to be new moon in Aquarius. And then on the 24th is a full moon in Virgo. So February is the month for perfectionists, you know. This combination of Aquarius and Virgo leads to perfectionism. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. The Sun is in Aquarius until the 19th, then it's in Pisces. Mercury is in Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. Venus is until the 16th in Capricorn, then in Aquarius. Mars is until the 13th in Capricorn, then in Aquarius. All big planets are direct. So, Jupiter in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Aquarius, all direct. February is very, very important for a month for the world events. When all the major planets are direct, things are happening. Then also we have Mars and Venus that will meet and have conjunctions with Pluto, etc. We will talk about that. By the way, every February is the month of revolution because the Sun is in Aquarius, which has one of its characteristics, like to be the revolutionarist. And also where is the Sun, there are also these smaller planets. But now, when the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, is in its fall in Taurus from 2018 until the 2026, then every transit through the Aquarius is marked by the Uranus, which is in its fall. Which means that basically every February is critical, because Uranus cannot support transits of the planets in Aquarius. And Uranus in Taurus symbolizes rather destructive energy, especially for the biological life on Earth, and it's quite bad for the climate and everything what they are doing now and want to bring people to starvation and these kind of things. This is the trouble. Of course, Uranus in Taurus can have also some positive effects. Let's look first the lunar activity. There is going to be new moon on February the 9th in Aquarius, and like every new moon, this one creates a new pattern for the next 6 months, minimum, even for the whole year. So it is especially important for Aquarius or people who have planets or important points like ascendant or something in Aquarius. The trine between Venus and Uranus that is happening on the new moon is quite promising. It can bring new relationships or improve the value of someone or something. Possibly can improve finances. However, the new moon itself is in a square with Uranus, which is its ruler, which means that we are in a conflict with ourselves, unwilling to accept the challenge and step into the unknown. It would be good if we still find the strength to do so, because the sextile between Jupiter and Saturn at the same day shows that the situation is better than it seems. The same is true at the world level. Aquarius in the mundane astrology represents the people, generally people, just the masses, and now they have a chance to fight for themselves, and therefore they should not hesitate. We already see that farmers in Germany, France, Holland and other countries are in action. They are doing so because they know that they have to fight for themselves. They are covering state buildings and some other buildings with excrements, which seems necessarily today. However, there is a problem. One problem is that nobody cares what they want, because we live in a totalitarian system. So the people should take over the institutions and pass the laws, not to expect anyone to listen to them, because that will not happen. They will just play with those people. And the second problem is that the creators of this horror that we live in, at least since 2020, these people want actually rebellions and they want fights on the streets, possibly any situation where people will kill each other. This is what they want to create. They're speaking about some guerrilla wars in Europe for years already, few years. Any war is welcome to them, doesn't matter civil or any other. And that's not good for people, you know. This is their wish, not ours, should not be ours wish. And it's interesting here that also these protests of farmers started when Uranus became direct in January this year. So the system works against people, laws do not apply, there is no democracy, plutocrats rule, families are deliberately destroyed, etc., etc. When we accept it, it will be much easier for us to live because we will clearly know what is our position. If we lie ourselves, that's a big trouble. When speaking about the laws that somebody does not respect, let me tell you that there is a video on YouTube channel that has over 200,000 views called "Members of the Israeli Government Join an Event Calling for Ethnic Cleansing and Resettlement of Gaza." The video shows them howling, dancing and singing euphorically, which one Palestinian doctor commented that they are for psychiatry. It is obvious that the international court cannot do anything to them. This is quite good to remember. Imagine if any other country do this, would that be so normal, that kind of ethnic cleansing? Since we are living in the time of discovery of the truth, then the truth is also must be revealed about that what Zionists are doing in this world. And we have to understand that they have never been subject to laws. That's why this will not work also now with this international law. What it means historically? What is that saying about them historically? I leave you to ponder. And of course, I'm saying this with all the respect for Jewish people, because it's not about Jewish people that they wanted to be behind the wall of the city, because they wanted not to be involved in anything what is happening there and judged and so on. It is some kind of the job which Zionists did or similar structures. Neither them, not the American authorities, are like aware of that what is coming, and they look to me like De Niro plays the violin when the Rome burns, as there is a saying. However, we said that in some of my videos that Israel will most probably not exist anymore, maybe some small part, maybe not at all, and this is becoming more and more obvious after their actions. And also we see that what is happening in Texas will now bring America in the position to be transformed like Soviet Union was, or maybe they will even create a civil war because, you know, wars make money, wars annihilate the debts and so on and so on. We will see what will exactly happen. Let's just hope that in all of those processes that seem to be necessarily, people will remain alive and normal. We are already preparing for the eclipses that will take place in March and April. 25th of March and the 8th of April will be extremely important eclipses of the Sun and Moon. And it seems that fights will continue. You know, fights and wars will get stronger, unfortunately, I have to say that. It does not seem like that they will stop now in Ukraine, not at all, not in the Middle East, and of course everybody is waiting for the last battle in the Far East. And I'm saying yes, of course, it is because wars bring money, wars cancel debts, wars create chaos, and somebody needs this. Already in February we have challenging aspects. On the 5th of February, Mercury is in conjunction with Pluto. Then on the 14th, Mars, and then on the 17th, Venus in conjunction with Pluto. Certainly the most dangerous is the conjunction of Mars on the February 14. It is a potentially very destructive energy. Will it be the beginning of the fighting or new war in a new way, or war in a new way? We will see, with some help of modern technology, or maybe they will use frequencies to do something similar that they did in 2020. We will see. The so-called XY disease, I'm a little joking with the name, which is widely talked about, seems to be produced by the emission of frequencies from the antennas. These are these antennas 5 something something G. I'm saying in this way just because you know that they're recording everything, so I guess you know what I'm talking about. Back in 2020s in the spring, I also talk about that in my videos, that these antennas that they're putting everywhere actually have something to do with the disease in question. Of course that there was some virus, but that was not the key thing. The key thing was that they were using chemtrails to put this clever dust on us, and then they were using frequencies from the antennas. So if they're going to repeat that now or not, I don't know, but it is quite possible. Actually this war, the new type of war, if you want, that is now happening, is being waged against the human brain, and Aquarius represents those fine nervous structures. And now we are very sensitive to this in February. The fall of 2024 brings the square of Jupiter and Saturn. So that period actually looks more like a period of some strange disease. God forbid that. But I wanted to mention that now because it is also in a way possible with Pluto in Aquarius and with these conjunctions in Aquarius. This conjunction of Mars and Pluto can unfortunately also mean street fights or some violent demonstrations. However, the people must know that they are stronger than those false politicians, and they somehow have to fight for themselves, because if they don't do that, no one else will do it. Their governments will never do it. They're actually doing the opposite. Furthermore, it is interesting that the conjunction of Pluto on the 5th, 14th, and the 17th of February, these conjunctions, are at the 0 degree of Aquarius, exactly at the same degree where the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter happened in the fall of 2020. In that time, Saturn and Jupiter started their new cycle, and now they are in the first critical moment. Now, not now still, but in the autumn of 2024, it will be that critical moment. But the 0 degree is now intricated again. About Saturn and Jupiter, I talked in my video called Dead Kings and Pregnant Crones. Please have a look at that video. It's very important, and that what I was talking about in that video will be actual for many years. So, conjunctions that are now happening on the 0 degree of Aquarius are interesting for us, especially though the one with Mars on the 14th of February, that speaks about the power of the people or the brutal actions that the people cause or are carried on them. Let's remember that Aquarius and Uranus symbolizes the people in the mundane astrology. Everything that is about masses must be connected with Uranus or Aquarius. And Uranus is in a bad position until the end of 2025, even until the 26th. After then, Uranus will be in Gemini and people will be much stronger. Now they're not, because of the position of Uranus. So there is the trouble. So let's summarize. Conjunctions with Pluto in February can mean awakening of the people and great resistance, a crisis of collective consciousness that does not know how to take the initiative and turn the situation in its favor, But also, this talks about the unconscious power of the people directed against plutocrats. And also talks about the power of the plutocrats themselves and the brutal force they can use. Maybe with the idea to make the distraction or to provoke. And also, Mars and Pluto in conjunction can mean explosions or attacks of those frequencies that I was talking about. And it could be an attack on the brain. Conjunctions with Pluto bring extraordinary opportunities to the air signs. But only if those air signs are ready for transformation or for the new, interesting and provoking action. This especially applies to Gemini, Libra, and also to Aquarius. But fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo, they are in conflict with these conjunctions in February, especially people who have planets or important horoscope points on the first degrees or in the first decade of the fixed signs. You know, they are now in conflict. They are provoked to do something and they don't know should they do it or not. You know, so we will see. Everybody will solve that according to that what he feels. On February 22nd, 2 days before the full moon, we have the conjunction of Mars and Venus. This is extra thing that we have. And this brings great passion, creativity, and attraction. February is generally very, very passionate month. So many will fall into the love trap, which can also be pleasant for somebody. You know, there is not that much passion in the world and love passion as it was in the past, but now we have opportunity for that. So who wants, he can have it. But at the world level, this much passion strengthens militancy. Those who have set their goals, other political, economic, or other goals, they do not give up. By the way, Chinese also say that in the year of the dragon, people are stubborn and this strong persistence in achieving their goals actually creates those conflicts that are so characteristic for the year of the dragon. February takes the lead in this. It is the most, let's say, like strong will month in the year, or in the first half of the year. And I think that it's very also important to make this connection. Actually, in the year 2022, on February the 4th, when the special operation began in Ukraine, that was also the time when we had conjunction of Mars and Venus, and also all big planets were direct. You know, so now things can happen. Maybe with Iran or something more in the Middle East. I think it's still a little early for the Far East. 24. I'm really sorry to say about that, but I cannot say lies here. You know, it is really so. So on the 24th of February, there is a full moon in Virgo. It highlights the end of a stage in healing and other topics that are relating to the archetype represented by the Virgo-Pisces axis. Unfortunately, new health rules are being prepared for the European Union countries. I don't know about the countries in other parts of the world. I guess many countries are already ready to be against this. You know, there are many countries who know about the game very well and have the way how to stop that. But I don't know what is exactly happening everywhere. And what is interesting, on the 24th of February, Saturn, Mercury, and Sun are in opposition to that moon. So Saturn brings inflation, wars on the water, symbolizes migrants or violent expulsion of people from their homes. We talk about that in some videos. But also means some knowledge that is related to healing, which is quite a good thing. So I think that it is time to talk about the torture carried out by the World Health blah 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 something organization. I speak even funnily way because they're recording. So such organizations have to be exposed now in this month. As much as we do, it's better. And if we do so, then this massive hysteria that was happening in 2020 will not repeat. By the way, I said in my video Bash Chelik and the Fight of the Dragons that I recorded in the end of 2023 that this is the year of the truth. The much truth we talk about, the better it is. 28th of February is the day of the conjunction of the Sun, Mercury and Saturn in Pisces. It is an ideal day for the media to expose lies, as we said. This is the aspect that in India they call it Kazimi. It's important for Mercury, the messenger of gods, because it talks about of special importance and the conveys of messages regarding to these mentioned topics, like immigrants, health, and so. So Mercury will bring messages about that. But Saturn can also be very useful here, because Saturn has a strength from the Sun also. How great it is the fear of stupidity and ignorance with the conjunction of Saturn and Mercury. It is huge. But now with the Sun there, it is necessarily to inform people, to discover truths, and to let people to know what are those so-called health organizations doing and what is happening with refugees. It is interesting that this conjunction also can say that many people can be saved, whether they will be Palestinians, Ukrainians, or some other people who are the biggest victims, or maybe others also, I don't know exactly, of course. And when I say Ukrainian people, of course, I mean people, not politicians. We'll see. This conjunction of February 28 will affect us all year, and its effect will end only in March 2025. So until then, this what we described will happen in a way. This is the year of great confrontations, we can say now at the end. It is possible to expect great battles, and as we said in the video for January 24, the old structures go for all or nothing. So that's why it's so dangerous. Their frenetic struggle is interesting very, and it is also quite scary to watch those politicians who represent them, because when they talk like crazy, you know, like they live in the past and they're saying something that has nothing to do with the reality. And not only that they look like a people who have some changed state of consciousness, but I think that all politicians actually are in a special state of consciousness, and that is somehow created with them. I'm not going to go deeper into that. America has 34 trillion of debt. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if anybody knows the truth. And large part of American people do not want these wars, but if the war in Ukraine ended, then Biden family would be in prison for life, and not just only that, you know, he and his son and all of them, all around them, would be shown in their real face. And that will be real horror, because many people cannot imagine that it is possible to do that, what they were doing there. And also it is terrible to watch how the entire nation is destroyed because of a group of violence, crazy people. Likewise, there are reasonable people in Israel itself, but the Prime Minister of Israel will go into this war until the end, because actually his mandate is shaking very much in the last years. Robert Kennedy recently revealed that President of Ukraine sold Ukraine to BlackRock. I know I guess you know what I'm talking about, and who is that BlackRock? And this is really scary, because we see in different places of the world, like only few people can explode the whole country and all of the people, misuse them in the worst way, you know. And lies in the media are just making people stupid and not to see what is really happening. It's a real horror of our time. This neo-colonialism and neo-fascism are even worse than the older ones, because the modern technology now they use is giving them some, like, this terrifying power that we see. On the other hand, we see that a new world is being created in which the former colonies get a say. Africa in the first place, thanks God, they really deserve this. And the new world which is now being created is moving toward real values, as opposed to the paper and digital values of the old structures. Uranus in Taurus definitely shows what is real value and what is gambling with numbers. And I mean about crypto and other currencies. And I talk about this Uranus in Taurus a lot. See all my videos about that, if you don't know what I'm really talking about. And that is all for now. All of the contacts you will find under this video on YouTube. Feel free to schedule personal consultations with me based on astropsychology, spiritual astrology, feng shui, or based on the technique that I call the change of code, the change of the perception, which is the technique that helps us to work with our subconscious programs. I also have a newsletter in English. It is on my pages, symbolicthinking.net. You will find it there every month. Unfortunately, I have much more materials in English on my web pages, in other languages than in English on my web pages, but maybe I will change that one day, you know. I'm still not ready for that. If you like the video, like it, share it, and thank you very much for that. I wish you happiness, love, truth, and courage, and see you soon.